Here with Jeff Oseth, head coach of UMC men's basketball team. You guys got up bright and early today and started off the 2012-13 season with a nice little 5:30 a.m. practice. Just how did that go this morning?
Well, it went okay, just because of class schedules and to be able to have the gym by ourselves and before the whole day gets going, you can start thinking about basketball. So I thought it was a good way to start the early morning madness, I guess you could say. October 15th, first day we could be out there. So went okay.
You're entering your 11th season here now, and just what are some things that have changed in your 11 years here, and just what are you expecting from this team just in general?
Well, I guess my 11 years as being the head coach here, 18 overall. I guess some of the changes that when we first got into Northern Sun, we were on probation for 5 years. The rules have changed, but at that time we had to go on probation for 5 years. So, we were held out any postseason play for a long time. As far as the other changes, just the number of teams in the league. When we first started, we went from 10 to 8, back to 10. Now we're at number 14. Now we're at 16. So just the scope and the size of the league has changed. And as far as the Northern Sun, as a player, as an assistant coach, as a head coach, the Northern Sun's always been really, really good in basketball, and it only continues to get better.
You've got 4 seniors that will look to lead your team this year, and Almir Kurdzalik and Bo Schmidt, and then you've also got Justin Rake and Abdu Naing. Just what do those 4 guys bring to this team?
Well, number one is their leadership ability. They're really good people, number one. And having been around the program, anytime you're around something for a number of years, you take a little bit more ownership in it. And that's what these guys are doing, and we hope they have just a tremendous, we need them to have a tremendous senior year. But Al playing the point guard spot, he's kind of the extension of me on the floor. I have a lot of confidence in Al and what he can do. Justin Rake, we're going to look for him to have a kind of a breakout senior year, so to speak. I thought towards the end of last year he played really well, and I think he's going to have a very good senior year. And Broderick Schmidt, we call him Bo. Bo's 6'10". He's a long guy. He's a high energy guy. He's a great person, and we're just lucky to have him in our program. And hopefully he'll have a good senior year as well and can stay healthy. And then Abdul Naing, another 6'10" guy. He's been in our program for 2 years, and we need him to step up and also have a good senior year.
You've also, you've got a couple guys that sat out last year who will be, I know you're expecting quite a bit from this year after having to redshirt in Derek Red and James Sparkman. Just what do those 2 guys bring to your team?
Well, James had a serious injury about first or second week in August last year, so he missed the whole year, and he's still coming back off that injury. And anytime you have to sit out a year, you're going to be a little rusty. And he's working the rust off and trying to get back in it. But he's a strong physical player that can play inside and can also play some outside as well. But we're going to look for James to be able to be a big rebounder, be a guy that can finish around the basket, a guy that just brings some experience to the floor as well. Although he sat out last year, he had a front row seat, so he kind of knows what we're expecting. Again, he's another strong academic kid, a wonderful person. Derek redshirted last year. He was a freshman out of California, and just in the preseason that I've been around him this year, and the first practice, that redshirt year has really paid off for him. And he's a super athlete. He can run, he can jump. He can defend, and as his offense comes around, he's going to be a pretty good one.
You've got a couple other guys that return that, they didn't play a ton last year, but I know you're expecting Tim Lubke and Thomas Parker to step in and have some added roles for you this year.
Exactly. Thomas has got that big body. He's about 6'8", 240, and we're going to need that in this conference. We got to have the common denominator down low that can handle some of that pounding that goes on night in and night out. And Thomas can handle that, and he's only going to get better as years go on. He's a sophomore for us this year, so we need his role is going to expand a ton. And then Tim, we need Tim as an outstanding shooter. He can knock. He's a knockdown shooter. We got to find him to get open and be able to do that, and his role is certainly going to expand as well.
You've got 5 newcomers coming in here. I know you're expecting several of them to come in and compete. Just talk about some of the older guys in Ashton Harrell and Brandon Burns, who I know you expect to be contributors for you.
Yeah,
right off the bat.
Ashton Harrell, he's from Houston, Texas, and he's a really good athlete. He's long, he's fast. He's only 6'2", but he can jump out of the gym. He's got a good basketball IQ. We look for him to do a lot of different things. We look for him to be able to put some points on the board when they're there. We look for him to be able to defend some of the better offensive players in this league. We look for him to be just a steady player on both sides of the ball, and I think he's capable of doing that. Brandon, kind of a bigger body guy, he goes 6'6", 6'7", about 230. He can handle some pounding inside, but for what we do offensively out of that 5, it's going to fit him really well. He can step out and shoot it. He's a good decision maker. And I think one of the biggest things that Brandon brings is he's smart. He's got high basketball IQ, and he can see things ahead of time. And that was something that we were really desperate for in the recruiting, is looking for one of those kind of players.
You've also got a couple freshmen in Joe Moore and Mike Paulson, and then a sophomore junior college transfer in Dominique Wright. Just what do those 3 guys bring to your team?
Well, each one brings a little something different. Joseph Moore, he's going to play a little point for us. He's got all the tools to be a good point guard. He just needs a little bit of time, a little bit of seasoning to kind of see how this is going to work and get a feel for what we're trying to do here. It's tough to be in that position as a freshman and lead when you really don't know what we're doing yet.
Absolutely.
So it'll take him a little bit of time. Mike Paulson, he's a 6'5", long player. He's got a good basketball IQ as well. He just needs time. He just needs time, and it'll come. And he's got to hang in there and get better every day, and he will. Dominique Wright, he's a sophomore. He's got 3 years of eligibility with us. Transferred from Northern Iowa Community College from Colorado Springs, and he's 6'5". He's got some length. He just needs to just keep getting better every day too. He's got a lot of skill, and we just got to find a way to use that, and for him to find his niche within the team.
Just what are you looking from this team in exhibitions? I know you're going to have a scrimmage against Concordia, and then you have a couple exhibitions on the road. Just what will you look for this team before getting into a tough non-conference schedule, and then of course the tough NSIC slate?
Well, I think what we're trying to do out of that scrimmage is just get a feel of playing the game of basketball against somebody else, and against the exhibition games is looking for players that play well together. Basketball is such a game of feel that if you zig and I zag, we got trouble. So we all got to move at the same speed and do the same things right, and it just takes time. And that's what we got to use those exhibition games for, is put ourselves in game situations where at the same time the end of the world doesn't rely on what happens at the scoreboard here. Yeah. So just trying to get better, trying to find guys that match up well together, kind of put ourselves in a game situation where we have a scouting report and we kind of dress rehearsal, so to speak. And that's kind of what we're looking to do with those exhibition games.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.